Good afternoon, and welcome to the Live Healthy Miami Gardens Facebook Live weekly health and wellness series brought to you by the City of Miami Gardens, Live Healthy Miami Gardens. My name is KeTia Harris. I'm Community Health Data Specialist at Jessie Trice Community Health System, Program Manager of our Breastfeeding Touchpoint Program, member with Live Healthy Miami Gardens, and your host for today. The goal of our weekly wellness series is to bring our community information and resources to help us make the healthiest choices possible for ourselves as a Miami Gardens community and our families. Live Healthy Miami Gardens was born from the realization that although health is largely influenced by our individual choices, the conditions in the communities where we live, learn, work, worship, and play are also major contributing factors to the health are largely influenced by the choices and conditions in the communities where we live, learn, work, worship, and play. They are also major contributing factors to the racial and ethnic health disparities and healthcare disparities faced, as well as our overall ability to make healthier choices. We know that these issues and conditions are systemic, historical, and continue to impact us as communities of color and as a whole here and now. Live Healthy is a community initiative and part of the city's effort to address these conditions and reduce poor health outcomes through the transformation of policies, our environment, and the healthcare system overall, making the city of Miami Gardens a healthier place to be. In observance of Earth Day that just passed this past Friday, today we'll be sharing some of the environmental benefits of breastfeeding. So we're going to get into the next slide. How does breastfeeding benefit our planet? So it benefits our planet because it benefits humans first and foremost. Breast milk or human milk is available straight from the source, meaning there's no processing or manufacturing of it. None of it is required for breastfeeding. This eliminates the risk of contamination and recall, as seen and experienced by many families as recently as earlier this year, with a known and a few lesser known infant formula companies. This also eliminates the risk of environmental disaster, as experienced by families in the 70s during what was known as the quote unquote baby killer scandal by another known infant formula company. Impoverished countries and communities within Africa, South America, and Asia were targets for infant formula marketing in the 70s, where mothers were encouraged to use and invest in infant formula samples, eventually causing insecurity and inability to breastfeed. Despite the nutritive benefits of the formula noted by this company, as quoted regarding the scandal in a book by the same name. And I quote, "Third world babies were dying because their mothers bottle fed them with Western style infant milk. Many that did not die were drawn into a vicious cycle of malnutrition and disease that left them physically and intellectually stunned for life." And this came from the although this was given to the families, there was little information and education about how to properly prepare it, and if there was little uh, water was scarce, so the preparation of the infant formula could not take place, which contributed to these conditions. So then the families, and then this also came because the families were reliant on the infant formula, then their milk supply began to reduce, which created this environmental disaster. Breast milk also reduces the risk of chronic disease in mom and baby, protects against transmittable diseases in baby as it boosts the immune system, is organic, species specific, convenient, cost effective, and customized to the need of the breastfeeding baby. Breastfeeding is the normative standard for infant feeding and nutrition, and is sustainable, vegan, and environmentally friendly. Is environmentally friendly, and is an effort that is virtually all infant feeding families can freely participate in. I don't know if you can see the background images. These images are microscopic views of a drop of infant formula on the left versus a drop of breastfeeding milk on the right. On the right, you can see the living white blood cells that serve as the body's defense system against infection, and fat globules that promote brain and eye development in the baby. On the next slide, you can see how breastfeeding also benefits the animals on our planet. Because breast milk or human milk is species specific, coming directly from mom, the need for bovine milk or cow's milk is eliminated. Although processed and enriched in a way to be more easily consumed by baby, infant formula still contains higher amounts of protein than breast milk, making it more difficult for baby to digest anyway. Along with different levels of lactose, fatty acids, and vitamins that were designed for the calf, not the human infant, and vitamins that make needed nutrients, although available, more difficult to absorb than breast milk. Even with manufactured vegan options such as soy formula, the nutritive benefits of this artificial processed milk still doesn't compare to those found in breast milk. Along with the right amount of proteins, carbohydrates, fatty acids, and bioavailable vitamins for baby, breast milk also naturally changes and customizes to the unique needs of the growing breastfeeding baby. For the same reasons, babies' exclusive consumption of breast milk also slows down the growing demand for dairy farmland and prevents the deforestation that results in loss of otherwise inhabited lands and ecosystems by wildlife to accommodate this demand. On the next slide, you'll see how breastfeeding benefits our air. Cows release, well, all of us, but cows release or pass methane gas. By breastfeeding, eliminating our reliance on cows and other cattle farmed for the purposes of dairy production and manufacturing can decrease the amount of methane release. Methane is a gas and primary contributor to global warming, with a global warming potential of 100 times that of carbon dioxide in a 20-year span. Although methane usually has harmful impacts on the human body at concentrations on a greater scale and not necessarily on like day-to-day interactions in our environment, those working in these environments with lower level exposure to methane also risk experiencing dizziness, headaches, general fatigue, and with higher level exposure risk agitation, slurred speech, nausea, vomiting, and headaches, and more drastically a lack of oxygen to the body, which can lead to suffocation and death. On the next slide, we'll see how breastfeeding benefits our waters. In the processing of infant formula for use, for every kilogram of powdered formula, for example, almost 4,000 liters of water is used for the farming, storage, and pasteurization phase to packaging. This does not include the water also used to prepare the formula for feeding, which is usually at a 1-to-1 water to formula ratio. Next, we'll see how this impacts our energy, our conservation of our energy. Breastfeeding means minimal to no manufacturing or processing of milk, bottles, packaging, marketing, or sterilization of infant formula, with exception to storing and preparation of breast milk, which in this case has minimal impact in comparison to the processing from the manufacturing phase of infant formula. And finally, on the next slide, breastfeeding benefits our land, because this also means, just as with everything else, it means less waste from the storage, the packaging, and the marketing of infant formula. On the final slide, you can see where families can find support and resources to initiate and maintain breastfeeding. The QR code you see on the next slide shows is a link to a link tree of breastfeeding support resources for families and advocates alike and professionals alike, including resources from Jessie Trice Community Health System through Live Healthy Miami Gardens in the city of Miami Gardens, WIC Miami-Dade from the Florida Department of Health, the CDC, Metro Miami Agency, Office of Women's Health, Jasmine Project, and And this is only a portion of the many local resources, let alone statewide and national resources that are available to breastfeeding families or just to families in general to initiate and maintain and sustain a successful breastfeeding journey. Um, Thank you for tuning in. And just for a final thought, this year's theme for Earth Day is invest in our planet. And investing in our planet begins with investing in the best interest of self with day-to-day, minor but significant changes that have great impacts on the well-being of our families, our communities, and ultimately our planet. And that includes breastfeeding, that includes self-care, that includes taking control of your health, and being mindful of the health of your family and community. Feel free to tune in. Thank you for joining first and foremost today. If you're tuning in live, thank you for tuning in. If you're tuning in to the recording later, you could catch Live Healthy Miami Gardens Facebook Live weekly wellness series every Tuesday at 3 o'clock p.m., of course, on Facebook, but also on YouTube. You could catch the breastfeeding masterclass through the Live Healthy Miami Gardens Facebook Live every fourth Tuesday at 3 o'clock p.m. So have a great rest of your day, and thank you again for tuning in.